Okay, we're going to move swiftly onto the open mic. Usually I've got a really good sense from the list of what people are reading, but I haven't today. But I'm going to take a punt on thinking that Jo Hurd is going to read us a poem, but she might not be. She is. Jo, come up.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's a couple of poems, actually, and they're quite different. So I thought I might read my most depressing one first. I'm currently working on a new book idea, and it's a book of reflections on life and love and loss. And this particular chapter, including some of my poetry, this particular chapter, I'm reflecting on the loss of my late husband 22 years ago, who died of cancer. And I'd realised I'd not really personally reflected on all of that. And in my current role as a palliative care chaplain, I've grown to realise that the sort of wrestling that people go through on the inside when they know they have a terminal diagnosis seemed to me to be like the dialogue between two lovers, one who is determined to leave and one who is desperate for them to stay. And it led me to write this poem, and the lovers in this particular case being the body and the soul. And it's called So You're Leaving Me. Well, I was hoping you'd show up today, but not like this, dishevelled, unshaven. It's like you don't care anymore. What's wrong with you? You used to be such fun. You made me laugh and swear, but it was never boring. Don't you remember the lake, when the moon rose high in the sky, casting its light across the waters, and we saw the owl? Years ago, I admit, I took you for granted. Gratitude was scarce. I wasted time being envious. I was young. I was a fool. But now I'm scared. Scared of losing you. I lie here in hope. Hope that you will return with full vigor, bringing the good old days with you. Days on the beach, road trips to Scotland, the first rush of being in love, the chaos of family life, the anxieties of the future, the cold morning air, the sight of a kingfisher, the song of a lark, the first signs of spring, and the smell of autumn fires. Last year in Seville, when I danced in my husband's arms and my grandchildren laughed and played, I realize now you were already planning to leave, the betrayal hidden. What did I do wrong? Why don't you fight for us? I am. But I can't do it without you. I need you. You're killing me. And now, you choose to leave so slowly, so painfully, lingering, forcing me out like air from a balloon, revealing the ugliness of my shell, squeezing every last bit of dignity, and yet still I hope you will change your mind. Acceptance, my least favorite virtue. I knew you'd leave one day, of course, but not like this. So soon, too soon. I need longer. The morning light flickers. Voices are muffled, but I know I am not alone. And somewhere in the distance, I hear a click, as if a door closes, and I know we are done. Thank you. So this is completely different, just to end on a bit more of a high, something a bit more silly. Early last year, I had my first brush with COVID, had my usual 2 weeks off work, couldn't go back until I'd got a negative test. I was quite ill to begin with. Second week, really bored, really restless. Every single drawer and cupboard in my house got sorted out. And there was one particular drawer that caught my attention, and so I wrote about it. So this is called My Knicker Drawer. My knicker drawer is full of pants that neither fit nor flatter. I've noticed this across the years as I grew slowly fatter. What was I thinking as I spied a lace-edged bra of torture? What fantasy of long ago bewitched me as I bought her? And matching to this upper half, a skimpy crimson thong. This drawer is full of underwear of which to me does not belong. The thought of a piece of lacy string pulled up between the buttocks was classed as wear for the derriere has really got me flummoxed. And on those rare occasions when stockings seem alluring, how hard to chase each fastening round thighs with eyesight blurring. I sit in quiet wonder and reflect upon this lingerie Bucks Fizz, and wonder what's inside the drawer that's firmly marked as his. No instruments of torture there, big baggy boxer shorts and vests with softest stitching, no lace as rough as gorse. And I think again of younger days when vest and pants kept warm, the underlayer of my clothes against the fiercest storm, when bras held tight the nursing breasts and opened for a feed with comfy practicality supporting every need. So now I wonder why, as woman, Madonna springs to mind, and those models with their stick-like frame that never could be mine. So now, as 60 fast approaches and I fumble in this drawer, I now resolve my hand will find the knickers I adore. Abandoning the bras that pinch and scar my flesh, who's caring? A plaster on each nipple does the job to stop them staring. No negligee or teddy suit or camisole of hell. Today I'm going comfy, and I know you all can tell.
Fabulous. Thank you, Joe Hurd. Could we go to Harley Riley? Round of applause.
Hello. So a little while ago, I started writing a memoir and found that when you start writing a memoir, you piss a lot of people off because they don't want to be in your memoir, which is fine, but it's a little like trying to write without being able to write what you want to. And so I stopped writing a memoir and instead wrote a lipogram, which is a piece without a specific letter in it, because that's how it felt trying to write the memoir without pissing people off. So this lipogram doesn't have the letter E in it and is about trying to share my memoir with people. And it's super dark. So sorry. It gets more fun from here though. So, lipogram. I sit down to author my story. I am 30. Abundant history to commit to an archival account of my own. I know who I am now. Nothing to stop its composition, nothing to stop an outpouring, nothing to stop my unwound truth from taking form. I start. Frantic digits tap laptop symbols, and words unfold. It is a first, this chronic flow. I cannot push my words onwards or backwards. I cannot think, just symbols on a canvas, braiding living fabric from my skin, unfamiliar words chronicling familiar myths, my myths. A doubt shrinks. This is my opportunity to show you what I am, to show you what I want you to know. An instant's inhalation, and I'm sharing this with you, sharing my words in anticipation of your dismay or your gracious admonishing, your soft confirmation, your adoration, hoping only for your validation. But no, pouring through my words, boring dark pits in my skull with your scrutiny, you cast it off. It hurts as you start pronouncing your opinion, as you point at my words, thick with idiom and parabolic thought, fighting for poignancy, as you say it has no soul. It hurts as you grasp my canvas and rip it in two. Dismay. I know how it looks. I know I drip words and words with inklings of hurts unsaid and missing truths, vacillating. I am laid on. I am masking scars, masking past I ams, all in contrast, all dying. I want to say how hard it is to put in writing, to distill into a singular, I am this. I want to say how a living flash consigns to my mind and grows, amplifying until words loll thick in my mouth, until thoughts stick in my jaw, how I ration thoughts to singular, painful gasps, how I cannot say what I want to say to you. Frost crawls in, but I will try again. So then after that, I decided I wasn't going to write a memoir anymore, at least not yet, and decided instead to write some super fun vignettes about life in general. So I don't know if this lowers the tone or at least changes the tone, but I wrote a vignette about being diagnosed with IBS. So sorry, you know what's coming. It's called Another Flare-Up. Age 29, I am diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. There are so many things I can do with irritable bowel syndrome. I can expand my lexicon to include words like gastrointestinal, probiotic, and flare-up, which help me talk about my bowel movements without describing my shit. I can clutch my stomach at a social event I'm totally done with and watch my friends nod and say, of course we understand, because no one wants to know which kind of abdominal problem I'm dealing with. I can explain to a family friend on a fortnightly call that the syndrome is fine, thank you. And yes, she did tell me about her friend with a daughter whose daughter also has it, but their symptoms are far worse than mine, so really I've come off quite well from it. I can listen to my mother clarify to her friends that I'm not pregnant, I just have gastrointestinal issues, so I'm not drinking at the moment, while I nod slowly, like a Victorian waif, and sip my not gin and tonic. I can also say yes to my 12th drink of the night and wake up the next day feeling totally fine. I can learn it's caused by stress, decide to minimize stress by planning better, make a to-do list, put 42 things on it, realize I have no time to do the 42 things, get more stressed, add right to-do list to the bottom, and cross it through. I can lie in bed on a Thursday morning thinking about the to-do list, but feeling too exhausted to do anything on it. I can read the long list of food and drink that might or might not be a problem for little vegan me. It includes tofu and beans and broccoli and mushrooms and chickpeas, and processed food, and fibrous food, and too many carbs, and too much fat. I can discover there is a company selling IBS-friendly meals to save me the hassle. I can curse the company for capitalizing on my gut's inability to function. I can cook fresh meals with the perfect amount of butternut squash and a thumbprint of teriyaki sauce and the right green vegetables and retire to bed with a clenched fist gut 15 minutes after I finish eating. I can order a slab of processed not meat on white bread and fake cheese and barbecue sauce and onion rings and hey, let's add fries and several sauces. I'd prefer ranch if that's okay. And do you know what, get me a side of avocado wings deep fried. I can have a Diet Coke as well and be totally fine. I can eat a delicious Peruvian meal on a holiday in Madrid and throw it up at 2 a.m. while my ex-husband listens through the nan's neck curtains, thin walls of the Airbnb. I can consider buying a radar key to use disabled toilets in an emergency because my doctor says it's okay, but not buy one because one time I used the disabled toilet at work and a cleaner stopped me as I left and said, "You know you can't use the disabled toilet if you're not disabled." I can wake in the early hours imagining if I'd explained my gastrointestinal issues instead of returning red-faced to my desk. I can debate with my mother the ethics of her also buying a radar key because sometimes the queues are so long. I can wake in the early hours wishing she'd seen the way I cried afterwards to think somehow what's happening to my body is the same as waiting in a queue. I can buy pills. So many pills that you should only buy when you've been diagnosed with the syndrome. Pills that make the bloating stop, but the side effects are diarrhea, and pills that make the diarrhea stop, but the side effects are constipation, and pills to make the constipation stop, but the side effects are bloating. I can buy pills that ease all the symptoms at once. But guess what? Excessive consumption may cause laxative effects, and honestly, who the fuck comes up with this shit? I can buy pills that make me fall asleep quickly, so I just don't have to think about all the other pills. Thank you.
Thank you, Harley. We'll have one more reader before the break, and I'm thinking we might have Kim, because it's the first time she's ever read. Is it Kim Dat? Am I saying it right? Big round of applause. It's the first time she's been here.
Hi. I'll let you decide what this is about, and I'll try not to get too nervous. It's called You've Got a New Story. Well, it's only taken you 32 years to realise, but you have a new story. You were never a bad person. You just reacted to the difficult things that happened to you. And guess what? You did the absolute best that you could with the limited knowledge you had. You were always different. People called you weird. You never fully fit in. Or if you did fit in, you compromised and hid parts of yourself to fit their mould. But it took you 32 years to realise you don't need to fit in, you don't need your old story, and you have a new one. You were 6 years old. You did your absolute best. And honestly, you did better than most 6-year-olds would do. That's not to say you should have had to go through any of it, but you did, and you're here, and you're the person you are today because of it. And I'm so proud of you, and you were special from the first day you landed on this earth. You were 8 years old, and you did your absolute best. You did better than most 8-year-olds would do. You shouldn't have had to, but you did anyway, because you're strong. You're unbreakable, even though at times it felt like you were broken. I'm so proud of you. You've always been special. You were 10 years old. You did your absolute best. You did what no 10-year-old could or should have to do, but you did it anyway, because you knew right from wrong before your brain even knew how to put the things that were happening into words. I'm so proud of you. You're special. You always have been. You've got a new story. You did the best you could, and you did better, in fact. You found ways to cope, and then when the time was right, you found better ways to deal with those coping mechanisms. You continue to work on yourself for all those people around you who don't. 6-year-old you is so excited for you. 8-year-old you can't believe you get to do the things you do. And 10-year-old you has her mind blown at the freedom and choices you have in your life. They're all so proud of the person you fought hard to be. The darkness that you found a way out of because you had that light inside you. And you know what? You didn't hide from that darkness. You acknowledged it as a part of who you are, and you grew into something brighter. You've got a new story, and guess what? It's a good one. Thank you.
What a wonderful line to end on for the first half. I'm just going to check the time. Well done, Kim. That was wonderful.